John Scofield and Peter Bernstein both became my mentors at the same time. I was put into the ICU for a month. Welcome to our free Bill Evans Fretboard Secrets Masterclass. If we've not yet met, my name is Jordan Klemons. So excited to share these ideas with you. They were revolutionary for me. They were revolutionary for the advanced gigging and teaching musicians that work with me, like Paul and Gary.
Learned under some amazing teachers, Joe DiOrio, Howard Roberts, Peter Sprague, Scott Henderson. This boils everything down to just very simple things that can then be taken and extrapolated as far as you want to take it.
It helps me develop a much more concrete musical language. Both linearly and harmonically, everything's improved.
As well as the hobbyist musicians I work with.
You're going to see yourself improving like immediately.
I truly believe it's the best way for you to discover what you truly sound like.
My approach and my sound has become way more sophisticated.
And I hope they're equally as revolutionary for you and your musicianship. I taught these ideas at the New York University Jazz Studies program as an adjunct instructor. I've been teaching them online for about 8 years, and they even landed me a job teaching at Fordham University, which I didn't even apply for. A student from the university found me online, started studying with me, liked it so much that he took it to the dean of the jazz program there, who actually brought me on. So these are really cool ideas, and I can't wait to jump in. But before we do, I just want to go over a couple of things, give you some background, some context, set the stage so you can get the most out of this free masterclass possible. First things first, this is not introduction to jazz guitar. If you're a total newbie, I love it, I support you. You're more than welcome to watch this, but it will probably cause some confusion. Okay, if you've never played a scale before, if you don't quite understand chord scale theory yet, diatonic ideas, modes, arpeggios, we're not gonna cover any of those ideas here. You're gonna wanna go learn that stuff. Okay, there's tons of YouTube channels where you can just learn basic jazz theory 101. This is not that. What we're gonna cover is both significantly simpler than that and way more sophisticated, elegant, and complex sounding. This course is ideal for people who are already in their intermediate level, advanced level gigging professional. Okay, so what exactly is it that we're gonna cover? Let's back up before I answer that question, because I didn't learn this stuff from a book, and it's really important that you understand where these ideas came from so that you understand what the benefit and the purpose of them are and how they can drastically improve your musicianship. I started playing guitar when I was 10. I found a guitar in a trash can on my way home from school one day. That was my first instrument. Like many guitar players, I started off playing punk and funk music and rock and blues, which got me eventually into improvisation, and that eventually led me to jazz. I did my undergraduate degree in jazz studies, and that was where I was introduced to what I now lovingly refer to as the jazz industrial complex. Here's a ton of intellectual information, go memorize this stuff, gig a couple times a week with really good players, and maybe in 30 or 40 years, if you're lucky, you'll sound really good. What ended up happening? When I used the scale approach, I sounded like I was noodling inside of scales. When I switched over to using arpeggios, it sounded like I was just running around up and down through chord tones, outlining the changes like a little kid with a coloring book being told to put red here and blue here and yellow here. Over 2 decades, I started getting a little bit better, mainly because I was gigging a lot with older, more experienced musicians. But then I moved to New York City. In my very first year, John Scofield and Peter Bernstein both became my mentors at the same time. It was an insane year, and right away things were different. Nobody was talking about theory. Nobody was talking about how to outline the changes or what diatonic scale to use here. It was all about musicianship. How do you develop something lyrical, something melodic? How do you play from the tune? How do you express something artistic and human? How do you stop regurgitating the real book chord progression, chorus after chorus, and actually tell a compelling harmonic story that dances through the form of a standard when you're accompanying another soloist? These were things that the jazz industrial complex kind of left off the table. It was just all theory, intellectual ideas, and just rote muscle memory memorization. There's a time and a place for that, but the underlying assumption in that realm is that if you do that for enough decades, you'll just, as if by magic, transcend to the next level. I did it for 20 years and it didn't get me to the level of playing I wanted to. I know many musicians, some of whom study with me, who've been in that realm longer than I've been alive, and they're still not happy with their playing.
Sometimes I'm wondering, like, how have I been doing for the past 40 years?
My playing has improved more in these 2 years than the last 40.
And as soon as I got to New York, I realized these cats that I look up to, they're just thinking about something different. I learned so much from Scofield and from Peter Bernstein. And then I met Stefan Harris. This is where things really started to take off for me. Stefan plays the vibraphone, which visually looks just like a piano. So he thinks like a piano player, he speaks like a piano player, he organizes like a piano player. So he sat me at the piano, and despite me being a horrifyingly bad piano player with no muscle memory, within about 3 months, He had me playing tunes like Blue and Green with Bill Evans style lush harmony and perfect phrases. Now I know my theory. I can sit at the piano and slowly find, let's say, a B flat melodic minor scale if I need to, or an A major 7 arpeggio. But I can't look at the piano the way I look at the fretboard and just spot that stuff. It takes me time. Yet within just a couple of months, he had me playing standards with a level of harmonic sophistication and improvisational intention and soul that far exceeded what I had already figured out how to do on the guitar with 2 decades of practice and John Scofield and Peter Bernstein as my mentors. That was an extremely frustrating moment for me when I realized that. It was also extremely inspiring because I knew there had to be a way to get the simplicity of what Stefan was showing me at the piano to translate it onto the fretboard. But the story gets even crazier because 2 months after wrapping up a year of studying and playing with Stefan Harris, I found myself in an ambulance on the way to a hospital where I was put into the ICU for a month, diagnosed with brain disease, and lost the ability to play. At this point, I'm a 35-year-old professional performing and educating jazz guitar player living in New York City who literally can't play. Fortunately, I remembered all my theory, but my hands were like my 10-year-old hands again. They didn't know what to do. I thought about all the conversations I had with my mentors and how there really wasn't that much talk about theory. And then I thought about what Stefan helped me accomplish on the piano, literally in just 2 to 3 months, and I was playing amazing harmony and perfect phrases every time on an instrument that my hands had no muscle memory for. So it was at that moment that I just decided I'm going to take Stefan's concepts that he showed me on the piano, which I'd already started translating on the guitar, and I'm just going to go all in. So I lost the ability to play music in 2016, and I have not sat and practiced a cage system or a 7-chord arpeggio or any traditional approach since then. All I work on is what I'm going to show you in this free masterclass. So what is it that Stefan showed me? Well, he showed me that if you just stack a simple triad, the most basic form of organization we have in Western music, on top of a basic shell voicing, the simplest form of a jazz harmony that we have in jazz music, that if you do it the right way, these can be used to unlock bebop, post-bop, they can be root structure, they can be polytonal, they can be modern. It unlocks all kinds of sonic illusions. And then what he showed me is how to take that one triad and turn it into perfect phrases so that we're not concerned with the 1-3-5 flat 7 or the diatonic key signature or what mode we're in. We just jump straight for the sweet spot notes. The Jazz Industrial Complex will show you triads. They'll spend a paragraph or 2 on it, maybe a page if you're lucky in the theory book, and then immediately they throw you into more complicated intellectual ideas. It's like they introduce to you the secret to everything, and then before you have a chance to realize it's the secret to everything, they throw 10,000 more ideas at you that get you stuck in your head. Bill Evans once said, jazz is not intellectual theorem, it's feeling. If you want to play faster, practice slower. If you want to play more soulfully, with more elegance, more sophisticated, more complexity, simplify down what's happening in your brain so that your ear and your heart have a chance to come out and learn to be playful.
Allow you to kind of jettison 90% of your thinking that comes along with that chord scale approach.
This is much more to the core of what music is.
You're automatically playing music.
That's what we're going to work on. My goal for you with this masterclass is to help you declutter your thinking, right? Get rid of the piles of theory ideas and concepts you need and the overcomplicated ways of thinking. Come back to the simplest thing, like a seed, and learn how to plant it in the soil and let it grow. That one triad will grow into some of the most complex sounds you will have ever heard. And some of these ideas you will be able to get into your playing near immediately. Others will take some time, okay? But they're all built on the same triad. So once you learn to see that triad, you will be able to hear a transformation in your playing. And then you can use that foundation to grow into higher tiers of complexity and musicianship.
It's giving me access to sounds that I didn't know were possible without advanced theory.
Every time I practice, I'm coming up with something that I attribute back to this entire program.
So we're not going to negate any music theory, okay? We're going to look at alter dominant, a mode of melodic minor. That's music theory. But by the end of the course, my goal for you is to understand alter dominant from a much simpler perspective, and more important than intellectually understanding, you'll be able to hear and soulfully feel it. You'll be able to know where the blue note is. You'll be able to play lyrical phrases over a mode of melodic minor consistently every time. Your fingers go down and you can just see the sweet spot notes. You'll be able to access pianistic voicings, chord voicings with inner voice movement, bebop scales, counterpoint, all kinds of wild, complex sounds from one triad. If you really dig this masterclass and you want to continue working together, at the very end, I'll introduce you to a way that we can work together. I'll show you a tour of the 135 Club, program where I work on these materials with other musicians, hobbyists, and professional gigging teaching musicians. In the meantime, enjoy the free masterclass. In the next video, we'll take a quick look at an actual Bill Evans harmony from his playing so you can see that I'm not just making this stuff up, it's actually there. And then we'll jump into our alter dominant lessons, translating Bill Evans style piano player thinking onto the fretboard.